Hello everyone. So I decided to make this video because I left a comment on another video and I just got so many responses and questions that I was not expecting that I figured I'd just make a video to explain more of what I was talking about. And I've been wanting to make this video actually for a while, and I originally intended this channel to kind of explain a lot of things about spiritual awakening and raising your frequency and changing your life, but I just haven't sat down to take the time to do it until now. And so I'm glad I got so many questions because it motivated me to do it finally. So sorry if my voice cracks a bit. This is my third time making this video because I was having some interference earlier with the microphone. So I hope it works good now. So first, I just want to start with a little quick background about me, and then I'm going to get into the video because this will be a little bit relevant later on. So I first had my Kundalini activation when I was 20 years old, and the activation is when you start to unblock the chakras and you can actually feel them, and you don't need to be religious or anything. I just think Hinduism really explains the energetic process of what's going on really well, because energy is also physics, and physics and spirituality, a lot of it ties together and is the same thing. Scientists just haven't fully linked it yet because a lot of science is still like needing physical proof, but scientists are starting to find physical proof of these energetic frequencies within us and what I'm going to be talking about. And there have been, for example, like many CIA documents that go into this for anyone who wants to deep dive into that and look it up. I think like the Stargate stuff. But anyways, so I had my activation at 20, and it was forced. I wasn't trying to activate my Kundalini. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but it got activated by an event and a path that my soul chose in this lifetime. And so for a few years, I didn't know what was going on. I was just having all these crazy symptoms, physical symptoms from my chakras, but I would go to the doctor and they could not find anything wrong with me physically. The test showed like nothing coming up because there was nothing physically wrong with me. It was energy that I was feeling that was causing symptoms. Like, for example, solar plexus blockage can cause nausea, anxiety, stomach and digestive problems, etc. So anyways, fast forward a bit, I started to uncover what this was and work with the energy around 24, and then when I was 25 I had the full Kundalini awakening or rising, and I'm not going to go in depth on what that is here. You can look it up. I'll probably make a video on it later, but that was when my higher self started to come in and I started to embody the higher frequencies and everything really made sense. And so what I want to make this video about is how to clear out distortions, because that is step one of getting out of the rat race and changing your life for the better. And this is also step one of your spiritual awakening, because spiritual awakening is raising your frequency, or your soul calling you to remember who you are, to remember these higher frequencies so you can attract your highest timeline, or, manifest what's best for you and what's really going to bring you joy, manifest abundance, love, opportunities, etc., right? And so most of the world is actually going through a spiritual awakening now, because everyone is complaining about society, like, what are we doing with our lives? We're going to work, we're coming home, we're eating, sleeping, going to work, eating, sleeping, repeating. Like, is this all life is to make money, pay bills, and then die? Because it's not. And Earth is shifting into a higher frequency. And so it's affecting everyone. Everyone is waking up to what is wrong with society. What the corporations are doing, the government, etc. And everyone's becoming disillusioned with it, disillusioned with the system. And back in the day, this would be the midlife crisis. But now it's starting to affect everyone. Even like children are wondering, well, what's the point of finishing school? What's the point of growing up if I'm just gonna have to work, suffer, repeat, die, you know? And so I'm making this video as a explanation of how to get out of that, how to live the life we're meant to be living, how to truly live as a human being, right? And so, sorry, I just have some notes here I put down so I don't get too off track with this video. And, so first I'm going to explain what distortion is and how you get distortions. So distortion is anything that is not truth, what is not our true soul frequency. And this is going to be fear and, fears, insecurities, triggers, doubts, expectations, etc. So I'm going to start with, I have my own little paper here of the Hawkins scale of consciousness. I will put a picture on the screen for a few seconds if you want to look at it. I don't think I can leave it there because of copyright, but it is on Google if you look up Hawkins scale of consciousness. So this explains the frequency at a physics level. So the third dimension, the 3D, what the majority of humanity is living in, right, is pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, shame, etc. And if you look around, you see it everywhere. People are prideful, full of ego. Everyone's arguing, thinking they know what's right, insulting each other, whatever, over stupid things, petty things. Does it really matter? Why are people just flooding comment sections with arguments? Like, wasting your time with that. It's nonsense. And desire, overconsumption, desiring superficial stuff, desiring status, desiring fame, recognition, relationships, just superficial stuff that is not true to our soul. And so the goal, or should I say the bare minimum that we want to get to, is 5D consciousness, which is the state of unconditional love. Now you could go up to 12D and maybe even beyond, I don't know, but that's a whole nother video, another topic. To really start remembering who you are and attracting a higher frequency life, you need to get to 5D. 5D is where it all starts. Unconditional love. And you might ask, what even is unconditional love? Because the majority of people have forgotten it. Over thousands of years, humanity has become distorted through the lower frequency crap that they don't even know what unconditional love is. And it is not letting people walk all over you, people pleasing, letting people do what they want, and, like, oh, I love you. Like, that's not unconditional love. Unconditional love is holding love and compassion for yourself and others while acknowledging you or them are acting the way they are due to distortion. So think of a world leader or someone a narcissist, I don't know, someone who is labeled as a terrible person that you have a lot of criticism towards. Instead of thinking of them as a terrible person and criticizing them and making their actions who they are as a person, just drop all the judgment and realize that they are acting that way or saying the things they're saying because they are distorted too. They have their own distortions that they are trying to get through. and, their own fears, their own desires, their own shame, their own pride, their own guilt, their own lessons that they need to learn, and that's why they're acting the way they are. But that's not who they are at a true level, because on a true soul frequency, we are all unconditional love. And I'm not trying to it's not about religion, but I'm just going to use an example how, in many religions, they preach love each other. Like, that's what we want to get to. Now, I'm not saying follow a certain religion, because religion has been heavily distorted and institutionalized as well, so it just requires a lot of discernment. But my point stands is we want to get to unconditional love. So that is where you can have compassion for someone in the fact that they are a human being experiencing distortions while still holding your boundaries and not letting them disrespect you. But you are not going to criticize them and wish harm upon them, because that is not unconditional love, and that is just not right, because no one deserves harm upon them. We should not be harming each other. We should not be wishing harm upon each other. Now, that doesn't mean we should condone what certain people are doing, but it is having compassion for the fact they are still a human being deep down, and they are just very, very distorted, and they need help. They need to get through their lessons. Some people are more distorted than others, and that's just how it is. And we have our own distortions, because it's also about having compassion for yourself. What's that quote? Like, we are our own worst critics. You don't want to criticize and judge yourself either. You want to have compassion for yourself as well. So when you get into a state of unconditional love, that is also going to lead you to pure joy, because how can you not be happy when you love everything in life? You love your life, you love yourself, you love the people around you. That automatically brings you joy and a happy life. You're not afraid of anything. You don't hate anything. You're not desiring or being prideful or anything like that. You are just pure love, pure joy. And so the distortions are very important to clear out, because that is how you raise your frequency. You get rid of the pride, the desire, the fears, and, the ego. Now, ego is not just like someone being egotistical. Ego is the term for your self-identity and everything you think you are and what you think your life is or should be. And that becomes very, very heavily distorted with fear and conditioning. And so this happens just over the course of your life. So most people wish they could go back to being a kid. And why? Because when you were a kid, you were innocent. You had so much wonder and awe and inspiration and creativity. Like the sky was the limit. You did not have a care in the world. You were just having fun. You were living. You were joy. You didn't have all these fears and these conditionings, because what happens is either through trauma, abuse, or just embarrassment, bullying, parents telling you what you need to do and can or can't do, as far as, notice how as a kid people will tell you, follow your dreams. And let's say, for example, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a famous singer. And as I got older, people started telling me that's not realistic. The chances of being famous are almost zero. And so that was a conditioning that distorted me to believe I could not follow my dreams because it was unrealistic and never going to happen. And so that is how we get conditioned over life, is society and people telling you what you need to look like, what you need to do with your career, that you need to marry, you need to have kids, you need to do this, you need to do that for people to like you, or so you can be happy, or so you can be someone, achieve something, succeed at life. That is all distortion. You don't need to do any of that. All we need to do is follow the heart and what we truly want to do. So what if someone doesn't like how you look, or so what if you don't have the career your parents expected of you? Because if you went down that route, like let's say for example, you want to be a painter and your parents tell you, no, go be a doctor so you can make money, so you can support us, so you can raise a family with money, right? But you don't want to be a doctor, but you go and be a doctor anyways because that's what they told you to do. And years down the line, you are stressed, you're unhappy, and then they start to wonder what's wrong with you, why you're always in a bad mood, why don't you want to spend time with anyone, why are you so stressed, and then maybe you need therapy, you have all these issues, you don't know what went wrong, why is life just not what you expected it to be, why are you not happy? Because your parents and everyone try to tell you, oh, you'll be so much happier if you're a doctor, you can buy nice things, you'll have money, this, that, it'll make you happy. Listening to what other people say will make you happy is not going to make you happy if that's not what you want. So quit doing it. And so this is what makes us distorted. Trying to follow expectations and things that do not serve us or do not serve our heart. And you will notice life will get harder and harder and harder when something is not meant for you. So when you feel like forces are pit against you, like things just keep going wrong for you out of your control, that's because you're on the wrong path. And finally, you will either get so many blockages you can no longer go down that path, or you will get so physically burnt out or depressed, or something will stop you at some point. If you keep trying to go down that path and you're not getting the hint, the universe will do something to completely ruin that path for you. Like whether it be you get disabled and you can no longer do that job or something, it will stop you. And so you need to come back into your heart space so you can get onto the right path and your intuition. So with the scale of consciousness, it's physics. You need to embody a higher frequency, and coming into unconditional love is living authentically. What would you do if you were not afraid and had no limits? No fears, no limits, no doubts. That's what you need to do. What do you truly want to do from the heart? And many people can't even answer that anymore because they're so distorted. They don't even know what really would make them happy anymore. People just know something is wrong, but they don't know how to change it because they've hit the point where they've realized they're unhappy, but they don't even know what makes them happy anymore because they've been so conditioned into what they think should make them happy that they just don't even know. And so the way you can work on clearing these distortions and to recognize them and change your frequency and live authentically is to first start by making time and space for yourself to just meditate and sit with yourself. Now, you don't need to do any type of specific meditation or visualization. Just sit with yourself in the present moment. Put your phone away. Tell people to give you like 20 minutes to yourself and just make the time. And if you have the excuse you're so busy you don't have time, that's BS. If you have time to watch this video, if you have time to scroll social media, if you have time to do something else like watch TV, you can use that time to do this. Because the more that you do this, the quicker you can get a better life. And so take the time in complete silence. No music, no people, no phone. And even going out into nature helps. Like if you can go out into the woods, a creek, it doesn't matter. Just a place outside the park that's quiet. sit with yourself outside, sit with yourself in a quiet room, and just sit there. Let the thoughts come up. Your brain will start ruminating and looping on things. And what I would say to start with before getting into the process I'm going to mention is, first, you need to learn how to observe the thoughts that come up without getting lost in them. And so a good technique that helped me is to imagine you're sitting by a river, and every time a thought comes up, like imagine there's leaves or flowers floating by on the river. Every time a thought comes up, imagine putting it in like a little bubble and putting that bubble on the leaf and watching it flow away. And just do this a few times until it becomes easy to just let thoughts go by without getting lost in them. So, because when a distortion comes up, like something traumatic happened that you're ruminating on, you don't want to start spiraling into grief or anger or whatever that it makes you feel that's traumatic, right? So the distortions, how you recognize them is once you allow yourself to sit with your thoughts enough, the distortions will automatically start coming up. Everything that is unprocessed, that has been avoided and pushed away hoping you forget, is never forgotten, because again, in physics, energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. So everything is frequency, emotions are frequency, thoughts are frequency, it's all energy, words. And so it does not get destroyed and disappear, it just gets compartmentalized, and you have to transform it for it to change, or it'll keep coming up. You'll lie awake at night ruminating on all your fears and anxieties and random stuff that happened 10 years ago. And so what you want to do is observe the distortion, and so you can realize how to change the pattern going forward, because distortions are patterns. There are things you keep doing that will keep looping. So I'm going to give an example. Like, let's say I started thinking about an argument I had with someone, and I keep replaying it in my head and replaying what I wish I said or how I could have changed the outcome, right? So that is recognizing the distortion and what my heart wanted. Recognize what your heart wanted in that moment. And so let's say I did not speak up for myself because what I'm replaying is what I wish I said differently. And so I could wish that I stood up for myself. And it does not mean, go tit for tat, say something petty, criticize them back, keep arguing, or have the last word or be right. That's not what I mean. What I mean is I wish that instead of staying silent, that I held my boundaries, that I spoke up about my boundaries and, told them I didn't appreciate them disrespecting me and I wasn't going to put up with it anymore and just remove myself from the situation, instead of sitting there silent and letting them keep yelling at me and insulting me or something. So that is recognizing the distortion and how you can change the pattern, because your intuition will show you what to change, and what to change was that I needed to speak up for myself. That is how going forward you change that distortion, how you transform it. So in the future, I would start speaking up for myself, and that right there is one portion of my heart unlocked, living authentically, honoring myself. And so that raises my frequency. And you want to keep doing this with every distortion. Find what you wish you did or should have done. Your intuition will let you know. And follow that going forward. And make sure you know that it's heart-led and respectful and out of love and compassion. And it's not, again, not trying to be vengeful or anything like that, because that is ego. That is distortion. That is trying to be right. We don't want that. Another way you want to clear distortion is also honoring your body physically. Exercise, eat healthy, and this is going to be hard for a lot of people. Quit drinking, quit vaping, quit smoking, quit doing drugs. junk food addictions. Stop it. And I know how it is because I used to be really addicted to sugar. Like, sugar was my stress comforter for stress. And so I would just eat a lot of like cookies and stuff. But why was I doing it? Because I was trying to bypass my stress instead of processing it in a healthy way. And drinking, smoking, these are carcinogens. They're not good for your body. And I would try to just stop doing it entirely, but at the very least limit it to as sparsely as possible and think about why you're doing it. Because if you can realize why you're doing it, chances are you'll stop doing it. Because are you drinking because, I don't know, you're trying to drown out your sorrows or something, or just ease off the stress? Because if you realize that and you find a healthy way to cope with stress, chances are you'll just quit drinking. Because for me, I eventually went vegetarian just intuitively, because all of a sudden I just quit craving sugar and junk and meat. And because meat is also so processed now, I just quit craving processed stuff once I found a healthier way to cope with my problems. And even like stuff like marijuana. Now, I'm not saying marijuana cannot be medicinal, but if you are smoking it like every day or something to bypass stress, that's not healthy. Because it can alter your state of consciousness and mess with your brain with excessive use. And there are studies now on this. It can increase risk of heart problems and stroke with excessive use. And so, like, I used to consume marijuana to sleep, but I realized I was doing it because at night I kept looping all these problems I didn't want to think about, so I would get high to try to bypass it so I could sleep, because I couldn't sleep. But what I really needed to be doing, my body was trying to get me to process these things so I could change the pattern, and instead I was bypassing it, avoiding it. So think about why you're doing certain things or consuming certain things, because it might not be helping you, it might be hindering you. And so honor your body, honor your boundaries and your mental health. Do breath work, somatic grounding. I used to have ADHD, and now I don't even know if ADHD is legit, because once I fixed my third eye and crown chakra, I quit having all the ADHD symptoms. All the overthinking, gone. I became so much clearer, and I realized those were chakra imbalances that I had, and I no longer needed medication. I used to be on so many medications for all these symptoms I was having, for just all these diagnoses I got, and I am now completely medication free. But from ages 11 to 25, I was there was one point I was taking 11 medications a day, because I just kept getting diagnosed with all this crap, instead of any doctor taking the time to figure out holistically the real problem. They were just throwing pills at me for symptoms, and again, none of these things were curing the symptoms. That's the problem with Western medicine. It does not cure the symptoms, it just manages the symptoms and then gives you other side effects, because some of the pills I was on was just to manage side effects from the initial pills I was taking, and it was ridiculous. And so, finally I just said, screw all this, I need to change it. I need to change something. And so I changed my diet, my chakras and everything, and I am healthier than I've ever been. I do not take any medications, which is surprising, especially in the United States, because everyone has so many health issues, and I'm just so much better now for it. And so honor yourself physically, take care of yourself. That's what's important. So it's honoring yourself physically, emotionally, mentally. And so lastly, because I don't want this video to go on forever, but I want to say that once you get into the higher frequencies, Like, after I had my Kundalini awakening, my higher self started coming in. And when your higher self starts coming in, you feel so alive, so mentally clear. Like, you just know things without, like, you'll just have questions and the answer will come into your head. You are like divinely connected to source consciousness. You will just know things. You will have the answer. It's like magic. And you become so clear on what to do with your life, what you need to change. Opportunities start coming in. Abundance comes in. People will start treating you differently. Like, I used to get bullied when I was a kid. I would get so much judgment and different things just because I was like neurodivergent and more of an introvert. And now it's weird. People treat me so much differently. And I haven't changed my appearance or anything. Like, I used to get judgment for like weird hair colors and stuff, but now it's like strangers want to come up to me and just have random conversations, like sitting on a bench or in the grocery store. People suddenly start complimenting me all the time on the things people used to criticize me for. And it's weird. It's like people just want to be around me. Like, I will walk into a store or a place I frequent, and suddenly all the employees know who I am. They're happy I show up. They greet me. They want to have a conversation with me. They come up to me, like, and even random strangers will come up to me in the store and just start conversing with me or ask me for like help or something, even though I don't even work there. It's like people just want a reason to interact with me. And it's because I am emanating a loving frequency, a good frequency. And when people sense a higher frequency, they want to get near it. And sometimes, though, this can trigger people because when you embody and emanate a higher frequency, it will affect the people around you. But as it awakens them, it can have them see their own distortions, and then they become triggered and they could start acting out or acting out towards you, or just, I don't, but it's because of fear. It's not because you're doing something wrong. They're just triggered by fear. And so just keep doing what you're doing and let them figure out their own problems. If someone has a problem with you, well, too bad, they can deal with it. As long as you are loving, if someone has a problem with you being loving and truthful and holding your boundaries, like, too bad, they can deal with it, That's their own problems they gotta deal with. Because why would you have a problem with someone being loving and, it's people experiencing their own triggers, right? So you can't fix everyone. Just focus on fixing yourself. And so as you embody these higher frequencies, things will fall away. Relationships, jobs, things that are not meant for you will fall away. And this is where you might freak out and relapse because you're like, why am I losing things? And now I don't know what to do. But it's because you need to purge and lose the things that are not meant for you, so the things that are meant for you, better things can come in. So you can be in that like middle void phase, I call it, where you might be having a lot of symptoms. You don't really know what to do. You become very disillusioned with life, and maybe your things aren't going as good. Like, you're just losing the things, and that's okay. That's what's meant to happen. And it's just making space. Like, imagine yourself a caterpillar in a cocoon. You are going to transform into the butterfly. Better things will come, but you have to go through this transition phase of purging out the old. And so your higher self will slowly anchor. It'll come in and out as you raise in frequency, because it is very energetically taxing on the body to hold more energy, a higher frequency. So don't be afraid if, like, for a couple days you feel amazing, you're have so much clarity, and then the next 2 days you're exhausted, you just want to sleep all day, you have a headache, you don't know what's going on, you're cloudy, it's okay. It's because your body is needing to adjust. And as time goes by, it'll become easier, it'll anchor in more, and these good feelings will last longer until it becomes permanent. Like, I used to be depressed, and I was suicidal as a kid. I was suicidal as a young adult and a teenager, because I'm not going to get into every reason why, but I was just going through so much trauma and distortion, and I don't even know what it feels like to be depressed anymore. Like, I can't even imagine how I was ever in that state, because I'm so past it. Like, I can't even just feel how I was depressed anymore. It's like, it's gone, because I'm full of joy now that I can't even remember how it felt for myself to be in those stages, and I can't even comprehend how I got to those stages. I'm just like, how did I let my life get to that point, or of course. So trust your intuition, and most people don't know how to do that. And so intuition is very third eye, but it's also heart. And I will make a different video on chakras, because there are 15 chakras, not 7. I'll make a totally different video on chakras and fully anchoring in the higher self, because that's a whole different process, but it is relevant to distortion, so I just wanted to bring it up. But for following intuition is calm and quiet and clear, whereas fear is loud and anxious. So if you're in a stressful situation and you have your mind yelling at you, you need to make this one choice, because what if you don't? What's going to happen if you don't do it? What if? And you're afraid. That is fear, ego, distortion. Whereas the second choice, maybe in the very back of your head, or you have a gut feeling where you're quietly thinking, I don't think I should do this. I don't want to be doing this. I should be doing something else. That is your intuition. So follow the intuition. Another sort of cheat code to know what is right and wrong for you is something that is right for you will bring you joy. It'll make you feel energized and alive. Whereas something that is wrong for you will make you just feel very drained, depressed, angry, and just like crap, because it's not meant for you. And also, if you feel like, again, forces are working against you out of your control, like with my old career, no matter how hard I worked, things just kept happening out of my control that kept making it harder for me and ruining things for me. I felt like I was being sabotaged, and it didn't matter what I did, I was just being sabotaged, and that was the universe telling me, this is not meant for you. It was not meant for me. So again, follow what feels right in the heart and not what feels right in the head, because things will not always make sense. The universe will bring you what you need in unexpected ways. So drop all expectations that life needs to play out a certain way, because you will be surprised. The universe will bring you better opportunities and better things in ways you did not expect. And so if you were limiting yourself through expectations, you might not have had these things happen. And sometimes it can initially seem like something went wrong. Like, let's say you were really wanting a promotion and you did not get the promotion. Now you're wondering what went wrong. But in reality, the universe is preparing to bring you a better job or a better offer that's meant for you later on. Or let's say, you were late to an interview and you didn't get the job. You ended up being late for a reason, because you were supposed to get a different job. So you see what I mean? So when you drop the expectations and stop trying to control things, you just surrender and live authentically, and you trust. You have to have full trust that the universe will provide for you, and it will. The soul will bring in better things for you. Your soul knows what's good for you. It knows what will really make you happy. You just have to follow it and quit following your head. Quit following, the doubt, the what ifs, the fears, the expectations, what people think of you. Just ignore all that and think about what you need and want from within. And so that is how you raise your frequency. You start living authentically, and you need to trust and surrender. And it is a process. It's not like I just quit my job and everything worked out for me right away. That's, I had to learn how to trust, because again, jumping in all at once can be too overwhelming, and then you won't trust. You'll relapse into fear. So maybe just make changes at a time. Maybe transition to a part-time job or something more flexible, so you can take more time to sit with yourself and discover your passions and what you need to be doing. Or maybe put off some extracurricular stuff that, you don't really want, like watching TV. Instead of watching TV, sit with yourself, make time, find a way to make time to figure out what you're passionate about and start to trust more and release more fear, and things will start coming in for you. Like, I didn't just quit my full-time job and then stay unemployed and do nothing. I transitioned to another part-time job that I didn't really enjoy either, but it was better than what I was in, and it gave me a lot of flexibility to start to work on my passions, to end up trying to make my passions more full-time. And even this video might be part of my path, because I have been feeling called to make these videos actually, and it was all these comments I got that finally inspired me to sit down and do it, because I've always felt kind of called to teach on things spiritually and that I'm knowledgeable about. So I would appreciate if you would like and subscribe to this channel if this was helpful, and if you want to see more content and to help get this out there, because it is important for everyone to start to live from the heart instead of from fear. That is how we change our society. That is how we change our planet. That is how we get rid of the corruption, is if everyone comes together to live authentically, instead of from fear and ego and all of this BS and control and wars, So also comment if you have any questions. I will try to answer them to the best of my abilities. And I am going to try to make some other videos going more in depth about anchoring in the higher self and stabilizing it, working on the chakras, and just other content as it comes. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day, and I hope that this resonates.